Alvin Kamara is another one. Now, this one, from my understanding, they did a tweak to his contract recently, and that prevented them from, Jamie, what I just talked about, which is designating him a post-June 1st cut and then waiting for the cap relief come June 1st. Like, they couldn't do that at that point once they tweaked the contract before. But now you've got yourself Travis Achan, and yes, that's how you pronounce his name. He made that clear. Travis Achan in the building for the Saints. And you go, well, is Kamara expendable? Now, he's got $3 million guaranteed. I did speak to his agent yesterday, Brad Sakala, and he said, look, we plan on playing for the Saints in 2026. That's all I got for you. So we'll see what happens with Kamara now that June 1st is here. And then there's Brandon Ayuk.
All right, shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the live. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Big Q in here representing the Who Dat Nation and the football family. Much love to y'all for being in the stream, man. Always. A round of applause for you guys. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the Sports Coma. FanDuel, they get it cracking. For all your prop bets, check out FanDuel. And we open up the broadcast with news about Alvin Kamara. Guess what? Stuff you already knew about AK-41. We covered it. We talked about it ad nauseum, fam. You all know we do what we do here at the Coma. We keep it real and we tell the truth, man. And that's one of the things that we talk about at AK-41. He like the reporter said, Garofalo, he said he spoke with Alvin Kamara's agent. They have every intention of being there and playing for this season. We already knew that. This was something that was talked about here. And NOLA, shout out to NOLA.com. They covered the scoop as well, discussing this as well, where they mentioned it and talking about everything that's going on. They know that the Saints are trying to work something out with Alvin Kamara. But like I showed you guys in previous broadcasts, the cards are in Alvin's hands. Like, he has all of the leverage. He's in full control of what happens here. He set himself up to be really difficult to move. Like the Saints, like it talked about, Garofalo gave the interesting take about Alvin Kamara's reworking of the contract prevented the Saints on the back end from making him ineligible to be designated as a post-June 1st cut. Now, that's a good little caveat right there, because I didn't add that part into my breakdown financially about Alvin Kamara when I went over the numbers frontwards and backwards about the Alvin Kamara contract. Now, there was another reporter that was talking about some other stuff. I don't know what he was talking about in the y'all guys probably heard it from the NFL Network, not him, but either NFL, ESPN. And he was talking about 14 whatever $1 million and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know what he was talking about in terms of the money. But what I know is what I researched and found out that Alvin Kamara is in full control of what happens here. In NOLA.com fortifies the point they talked about. They quoted Garofalo's comment, like we just mentioned, that he's ineligible to be designated a post-June 1st cut because of the fact that the Saints used the unconventional restructure to chop money down off of his contract. So it's almost similar. It's adjacent to, double dipping. Now you use this, I think it's the Deion Sanders provision, to cut down Alvin's contract, and then you want to cut it down some more within a certain time frame, and they're not going to allow that. So this is another proof that he's not really going anywhere, So the Saints have not publicly indicated whether they want Kamara to return. This is Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis wants him to take a pay cut. Alvin Kamara is not interested in the pay cut, and he already let him know that he's not interested in playing anyone. He wants to finish as a Saints, playing anywhere else. He's not going to accept a trade. If you attempt to trade him, he will retire. So he don't have a non-trade clause in his contract, but he does have the power to then say, okay, I retire. Whoever tries to trade me, I'm going to retire. So the Saints can't get any value back. So they just pretty much locked in to what they got going on right now, like we talked about before, right, fam? Y'all, on game with that. So Mickey said last month there was a resource management element to Kamara's future, which was released to the running back's contract. The Saints could ask Kamara to take a pay cut, though it's unknown whether he has approached the running back about a deal. and if the 2017 third rounder would be open to such a reduction. My understanding and word on the street, fam, that he's not interested in taking no pay cut. Now, what the Saints can do in terms of this is if they pay him money, I think it's 11 million or something like that. He's guaranteed 3 million on his current deal. But if contractually speaking, it's like $11 million that they would have to come, and it's just not what they want to do. So the Saints, they have to leave him alone. That's what I was telling you guys. There is no other way they can do this. Cutting Kamara would save the Saints about, they say, 400,000. It was, according to numbers that I had seen, it was more close to 330, maybe 337. They maybe rounded it off. I don't know. But reportedly, with lower Kamara's dead money commitment the following year, about 8 million because of the team restructure in March, according to what Nate Underhill was saying. Now, I'm not aware of that. I'm not discrediting what Nick Underhill is saying, but based on the numbers that I've seen and the sport track and the over the cap numbers, does not say that. It's saying roughly that it's supposed to be somewhere between 14 to 16 million in dead cap hit next year. So if they release them, but it's not 8 to me. I think it's double, but we'll see. We'll see what's going on there. So according to Kamara's contract is set to expire after the season, leaving the Saints 14 million on the books in various restructures. Now, what happens is when he leaves, that all that voided money comes due. So it's not like they can just, disperse it, and a lot of that money comes due. And the dead money, all of the voided years accumulate to like $14 million in various restructures that happen over time. So the Saints, I don't know how many times since Alvin Kamara has been, maybe 2 or 3 times since he's been a New Orleans Saints running back, that the Saints have basically done multiple restructures. And on the back end of it, now all of a sudden, it's a problem now. None of this was done by Alvin Kamara. He worked with the team to get these restructures done. Now they want him to take a pay cut because of a couple of years of low production. What about his previous years? I understand it's all about the "what have you done for me lately" philosophy that is going on. But regardless or not, that's why Alvin Kamara is holding the cards for this stuff like this, because the teams do this. Like we seen what happened with Cam Jordan. There's people in my comment section and my mentions telling me, AQ, he's old, let him go. It's not the point about he's old, man. It's the point about, is he productive? That's the bottom line. And paying a guy that got 10 sacks last year, who's a model of the community, who's a face of your, who's been a face of your franchise and an ambassador to the game for years. It's respect. It ain't about him. I can understand people want to usher these guys out if they're not productive, but you're not overpaying for Cam. If you do that, you're not overpaying. And Alvin Kamara is, even though he's not the featured back, he's still a very important part to your offense, because Travis A-Chain has to figure that out as well. We know Alvin Kamara is really smart. He's really adaptable in offense. Having those two guys right there works really well. There is no better complement of running backs that you can have for the Saints right now but A-Chain and Alvin Kamara. There's no better complement, so just leave him alone, Mickey Loomis. Leave him the hell alone. So the Saints signed A-Chain to a $52 million deal. What really 48, but up to $52 million contract that set up Jacksonville stand out to be the team's lead back. If Kamara returns, he'll likely be in a reduced role. The 5-time Pro Bowl is coming off the worst season as a pro ass after he put up these career lows in several categories and missed the final 6 games because of injuries. Monday proved to be a busy day, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But finishing up with the AK-41 situation, it simply is what it is, and it ain't much really to kind of add to it, man, to be quite honest with you, what's going on here. Alvin Kamara's holding all the cards. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, let's shift to this, man. Chris Olave aiming for a contract extension by training camp. This was something that was thrown out there, as well as Alvin Kamara is looking to get him, no holdout, but Chris Olave, so for the Saints, will do this. So this is, something that currently happened. Chris Olave had, no one would have looked sideways if he had skipped out on the voluntary off-season workouts that just to happen. He was there. Instead, he showed up for the OTAs. Olave was asked last year whether he was considering staying away After deals work out, he says he's committed to winning. I mean, he's making more in a season than he's ever made before. Even though he's playing on an option of $15.4 million, that's almost double the money that he made, previously. He's a double digit now. This is supposed to double to 30 plus, but he's there. He wants to make it happen for the team, and he, of course, he told WWL, I'm committed to winning. First of all, I feel like I'm a team player. The contract is a whole different side of the game. It's a business side. It says I'm committed from a player who has experienced one winning campaign in 4 years, never made the postseason. Still comes with expectations that this new deal is around the bend. I would like it to be done before training camp in July. I felt like we're going to come down to that before training camp, hoping to avoid more holdout chatter later this summer. I hope we do, so we don't affect the chemistry and stuff going into training camp, but I think it's going to get done soon. And of course, this was interesting. Now, Olave enters his fifth and final year of his rookie contract, which is about 15.4 in 2026. The Saints spoken optimistically about getting a deal done with Olave, but has yet to have yet to lock down the former first round pick. Feels like at this point, less than if question, and more about when the deal is consummated and how much it will cost. The receiver market has boomed, with Jackson Smith and Jigba resetting the top of the position at $42.15 million per year. 10 wideouts make more than $30 million a year. Where does Olave land in the stretch? Boasting 1,000-yard seasons in 4 campaigns, Olave is a playmaking talent and smooth route running ability that allows him to beat any coverage. He is a legit wide receiver in a growing offense. However, he has had many injury concerns, never playing 17 games in the season and never earned a Pro Bowl nod. Regardless of where this side settles, it's clear that Olave has earned his payday, and the Saints, with the addition of first-round rookie Jordan Tyson, want to keep him around to grow with Tyler Shuck and the rest of the Kellen Moore's offense. So I think more than anything, it just shows he wants to be here. This is what Tyler Shuck said of Chris Olave this past offseason. He wants to work hard. He's doing that every day. He likes being around the guys. I think he's just a valuable person to the team that everybody understands. And I think it's just a part of the business side of it. That happens, but more than anything, it just shows how much he is loved here. So Chris Olave saying some interesting stuff to WWL Radio, that he hopes the deal is done. That's some interesting stuff to talk about with Chris, that he is hopeful that a deal can get done soon. We talked about this before. This has dragged on since last season. Like when they started talking toward the middle, then it dragged on into the end, and now we're past the draft. Now we're into past the draft, past free, the top portions of free agency, past the undrafted situation, past the OTAs, and now we, making a beeline for training camp, and he wants it done. He says that he would like to have it done before training camp in July. So can the Saints get that deal done before training camp in the July? Now he's not said that, not put not like a deadline, like an official deadline, but never a preference. So this is obviously something that he's telling the agent to ask the Saints, can we get this done by July? Because I do not want this to drag on into training camp. I don't want it to be a distraction. People keep asking me about it. Can we get it done in July? So this is kind of a soft deadline of sorts for Chris Olave and the Saints. Can they get that done as mentioned? And we'll see what they do, because obviously that's what Mickey Loomis wants to do. A big part of getting the money, I told you all this before, the big part of this money situation tied to the Saints is with Chris Olave is tied to Alvin Kamara. Just being honest with you and telling you guys the unmitigated truth is that the Saints want to take some of that whatever they think they can get off Alvin Kamara and then move it over in future as much as they can possibly in the present into the future to absorb extra money from him. Now the Saints currently, according to Over the Cap, sit just $8.1 million in the black. So the Saints have over roughly $1.8 million in cap relief currently. And the biggest thing right now is if Alvin who carries a $10.4 million cap number. If he doesn't take a pay cut, the Saints will have more options. And we've done shows where we've shown you guys the options the Saints will have to do. Chris at 15.4 is the highest cap. Cesar the Salad Ruiz is at 14.1 mil. Elvin's at 10.4. If you can't get nothing out of Elvin, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to move around and start going up and down the roster. The next move will be Cesar Ruiz. The next move could possibly be Divine Gacho and Nate Shepard, Isaac Yiddom. You're going to have to find the money some kind of way. So, to be able to free up the Chris Olave money so that the team can operate. So right now, 8.1 mil is what the Saints currently have on their cap. And then, of course, this is next year's numbers were astronomical. Look how it's dropped. It's now at 48.9 million. That's why the Saints do not want to carry too much. They already got 100. And look at this right here. The Saints right now, this is dead cap money running into next year. Non-active roster cap charges can't do nothing with this money. Derek costs 36. This is the dead cap money right here, and why the Saints are kind of hassling Elvin for some money back. Derek cost 36.6 million of dead money Saints can't do nothing with. Allowing Cam's contract to expire, it encompassed a $18.7 plus million cap hit. So if the Saints they could have worked out an extension with Cam Jordan and avoided a dead cap number, that 18.7 million period. That could have been salvaged. And boy, they really would like to have that money back. So that was not a good move. DeMario's 14.2, Taysom's 13.7, Rams 11.9, Tyrann Matthew 7.2, 3.2 from Cooks, and so on and so forth. So these are the monies that's currently that come up to 112.1 plus million in dead money that the Saints can't do anything about. And at the top of it is Derek Stinking Carr's contract. And that is a terrible thing. Now, Cameron Jordan, 18.7 is, that's just off the chain. But nonetheless, this is what the Saints, 112 in dead cap charges going into the future. And of course, the moves the Saints are making now have moved that high number to about 40, roughly $49 million if you round it off for 2027. And of course, we know whatever they do this year, they try to keep their money down so it doesn't pour into 40 to next year. But that Olave deal, Chris Olave deal, the Brian Bresee deal, that's going to be coming. So there's a couple of deals that we'll be watching out for. Those are the top two. Elvin, the big Chris Olave deal, the Brian Bresee, they offered him his extension. I'm pretty sure, his option for the following year, which means I'm pretty sure the Saints are going to try to work on a contract extension between now and then for Brian Bresee. Then ultimately, when we get to year 3 with the Tyler Shuck at the quarterback position, the first year he played half the season. The upcoming year, he'll be in the full season by the third year. Remember the second round draft pick, he was a second round quarterback, 4th pick overall in the draft. They have 4 years. So in the third year, the Saints are more than likely going to start working on having a contract extension for Tyler Shuck based on what happens this upcoming year. And if it works out, that's going to be a big thing. You do not want to open up the 4th year of Tyler Shuck's contract now trying to work out an extension. That's something that you usually want to do the year prior, which is the 3rd year, which, we're going into the 2nd year. So this just is something to talk about going forward, how they tend to look at these things, because right now they do not have an expensive quarterback. He's operating on his 2nd year rookie contract. And that's why the Saints are like, man, let's go on all the way in while he's cheap. That, because it's going to come a time when he's going to command a chunk of change at the QB position. So the Saints are taking advantage of that situation. So nonetheless, we hear that Chris Olave wants this done by July training camp. Will it get done? Man, we'll see. I don't think Mickey Loomis and the GMs, Slick Mick and the GMs are flim-flamming Chris Olave. I actually believe that they want to pay him his extension, just getting the money together to do it. And obviously Alvin Kamara is a part of that equation to get that deal done. So we'll see how all this pans out. We talked about this in prior streams. If y'all want fuller, in-depth breakdown on it, please feel free to look up some of those streams, because we did do breakdowns. I showed the money side of it, why, this, that, and the third, all this kind of lovely stuff. I showed all that and then some in the breakdown. So nonetheless, man, listen, shout out to you guys. Appreciate you for being in the stream. And listen, fam, a lot of great things happened yesterday in the NFL. When June 1st popped around, a lot of fantastic things did occur this past, to be honest with you, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. And one of the things that we seen happen, man, in this situation was the fact that, boy, oh boy, when you talk about people trying to improve and do stuff, man, how about the Rams, man, and the Browns working out a trade? Browns traded Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse, a first round pick, and multiple picks, right? For it to do it in the Rams. We, seen a little tension when they took the quarterback from Alabama early on. Now they're not really kind of tripping on that right now. They're saying, hey, man, let's swing for the fences and let's get this stuff done. And, man, let me tell you something. They're doing it. The Rams aren't playing around. So what they did was they gave up some picks to get and a player. And Jared Verse is good, but Myles Garrett is better. So he moves from the AFC to the NFC, from Cleveland to Los Angeles. How about that switch? So the Rams acquired the reigning AP NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, in a trade with the Browns, shipping Jared Verse and a 2027 first round pick, a 2028 second round pick, and a 2029 third round pick to Cleveland. Wow, that's a haul there for the Browns. So NFL Network's Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, along with Adam Schefter, all of our favorite inside people, reported the trade. We have long taken a stance that our goal was for Myles Garrett to be a one-helmet player for his entire career. Andrew Berry said in a statement, after rewriting the record books and representing our organization with excellence, we were sincere in our desires. We entered this offseason and did not envision a world where Myles was not a Cleveland Brown. When the Rams first approached us with the possibility of trading for Myles, we remained convicted in our position, but as discussions intensified, we were stuck at the legitimate crossroads. Do we hold on to a truly generational player who has become an identity of our team, or do we make the difficult decision that we think is best for the organization over the long run? In that framework, the decision became clear. Although our emotions were muddled, more importantly, our supporters have grown up with Myles. He's an enormous source and pride for the team. However, as we embark upon a new era of Brown football with a young core and a replenished asset base, we felt this move was important for our transition. So Myles Garrett did send out a post thanking the Cleveland community and the Browns organization for accepting him and him doing what he did. But, man, what a big trade for the Browns. I mean, for the Rams, man. You're going to talk about this. It's for as far as the Rams are concerned, man, this is a huge change. This is a massive change for the Rams, because pretty much what it does is it brings Myles Garrett damn near unstoppable. It brings him and gives them one of these supreme pass rushers, the most supreme pass rusher and most difficult guy to stop. And in it, now Jared Verse wasn't no slouch either, but man, oh man, if you're McVay, if you're McVay, boy, you got to be like, wow, man, this is just unbelievable, because you had Braden Fisk. You bring in Myles Garrett to the party, and that just gives them a boy, oh boy, that's going to be a phenomenal pairing. You have Braden Fisk and Myles Garrett in there, and they got a couple other really talented players on that defense as well. Omar Spates, the former LSU guy, is there. Nate Landman did some positive stuff there for him. Kobe Turner, Cam Curl, and the rest of them there. Quentin Lake. It formulates a very interesting team for a Ram club, man, that was second in the NFC West last year. So they're swinging for the fences. They had a solid draft to add on to him with Matt Stafford getting his extension. He got an extension on top of it. They're healthy and they're feeling good about themselves, man, going into it. So it's going to be interesting with Coach McVay and the Rams doing what they did to kind of bring Myles Garrett to LA, man. And I know, but see, the thing is also too, Myles Garrett was having issues, like insofar as he was asking to be traded, then they were trying to trade him, they moved back, all this kind of stuff. And at some point you want to just kind of clear the table, because He's getting up in age. He's not old. He can't do what he do, but you kind of looking at him like, man, the team is the team where Myles Garrett wanted to be. Is it contending? Is it going to be a team that's going to be a player? And they're absolutely not. The Browns they finished fourth in the AFC North. Deshaun Watson is healthy, and they have him actually in a competition with Shedeur Sanders for the starting QB position. So they are still very much a young team trying to figure it out, and they are not nowhere close to competing in my my humble estimations. But nonetheless, it is a game changer, right? So it was just big. So them getting this guy's a pass rush coming off a record-setting 23 sack campaign, named to all the AP stuff, 6 consecutive Pro Bowls, at least 10 sacks in each of the past 8 years since 2027. We know all the accolades. We know that he's a tremendous force. We know that going to the Rams is going to revitalize his career. Not even revitalize, it's going to take him to a higher new levels because he brings that production along with that talented offense that the Rams have. And they got somebody that can lead that defense along with Fisk and all these other guys. It only pushes them to a higher level. Brian Young's a good pass rusher. He had 12 sacks last year. Verse coming off of 2 7.5 sack performances. So and Braden Fisk is a baller too, so it just elevates everything. Puka, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams with the McVay offense, and it just gives them a renewed focus in the NFC. So the Rams are the first team in the NFL to pair the reigning NFL MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. They also boast the receptions leader and receiving touchdown leader. So they got all the top producers there, and they're thinking that this upcoming year will be something that's going to be pretty spectacular. So we'll see how it happens. Then, and of course, them drafting Ty Simpson. We know that Coach McVay did not want to do that. He wanted to give more help for Stafford there. But then, of course, you think that the GM said, listen, let me just go ahead on and just give him this extension right here on top of that to help things out. So in terms of the Browns now, they were planning on trading Garrett. He said they weren't, but man, come on. If you're not going to trade him, you're not going to trade him. But we know at times in the past, he asked to be traded. They just didn't find the package. So, they're not close to competing. He's tired of losing. So the man said, let's make a move. They got a new coach in town, Todd Monken, coming over from Baltimore, trying to bring something different here. And they just decided to pull the trigger here. And they got a lot of draft resources going into the future. And they're on the field. They pretty much rebuild. They're on the rebuild mile. Now, the Browns spent the offseason revamping their offense. Casey Concepcion, wide receiver, Dizelle Balson, another good one for sure. Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders battling for that starting job. That's going to be interesting. So Jared Verse steps in and takes over that pass rush role. And they're basically saying that the Browns are kind of rebuilding this thing from scratch. And not from scratch, but they're using the best player they had, and Myles Garrett, who was was going to be disgruntled and unhappy in that system. And guess what? He's not. He's going to the Rams. And of course, there's rumors, and I ain't going to even talk about a certain defensive tackle that retired, that's been staying in shape. And rumors are he can unretire and go back and play with the Rams. And I've seen a recent interview with him saying that he is cool being retired and all this kind of stuff, but you never can tell, man. You never can tell, and that's just something to watch out. So if the Rams are fit, the Rams supporters are feeling pretty good about the trade, as well as the Browns have kind of adding to it, knowing that they need all assets they can to build forward into the future. Not only that, but also the Patriots. How about the Patriots? Y'all hit the like button, man. Patriots traded for Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown. This was something that's been talked about for a while now. They were mentioning it in Rumorville and ultimately ended up occurring where the Eagles traded their star wide receiver to the Patriots in exchange for the Patriots 2028, not 27, but the 2028 first round pick in a 2027 fifth rounder. So next year they get the fifth rounder, and the following year in 28 they get the first rounder. So the move reunites Browns with Pat coach Mike Vrabel, whom the Whiteout played for 3 years with Tennessee. Brown trade has been bubbling 4 years, like we talked about. It was constantly a source of rumors being happened, but the Eagles weren't pressed to move on from Brown, but it's obviously a trade that they wanted to make. So waiting until after June first to make the trade, avoids that $43.45 million dead money hit that he was looking to get out of the way. The Eagles can now split that over 2 seasons, $16.3 million, and then 27 and 27. And Philly won't gain any tangible cap space over the next 2 years, but avoided the large chunk. Waiting didn't provide Philly with draft assets for 2026, but also already made offseason maneuvers to help fill a lot of the void. And the Eagles added another chip to their 27 and 28 draft stock. Now, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler coming off a frustrating season where he had over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns on 78 catches, which is still pretty good, 13 catches, yards per catch, which is one of his lowest marks in a while. But he's been a very talented wide receiver for them for a long time, did a little positive stuff. But Brown gives the New England Patriots a bona fide number one option. The only thing is Mike Vrabel knows how to deal with and talk to the likes of the player like A.J. Brown. You know, he became a problem sort of with Philly, and he mentioned that he wasn't talking to Jaden Hurts, and that just can't happen. So now he moves on. Drake May is his quarterback. He's the top guy. You got Romeo Doubs and Keyshawn Butte, who's also on the trade block as well. We don't know what's happening with that. They have Mac Hollins and a few other players. Kyle Williams, they added. This was a team that went to the Super Bowl last year. They have Super Bowl aspirations again coming into it. And A.J. Brown fits a major hole for them, having a top-notch number one wide receiver that Drake May can kind of go to. So that is a positive as well for them. So we'll see how all this mashes, man. But the Eagles now have Devontae Smith as the top target, and the coach that believes he could thrive at the number one role. The club signed Marquise Brown and traded Dante Von Wicks, who played under new defensive coordinator Sean Manning. And of course, you know, in the 2026 draft, they did pick Mekhi Lemon, the speedy wide receiver from USC, to kind of pair with him. So the quartet of Smith, Lemon, Brown, and Wicks gives quarterback Jalen Hurts some weapons he can deal with. They also re-signed former Saint and Packer wide receiver Samari Toure and a few other wide receivers to kind of go along with him to kind of help bolster that thing. So there's Howie Roseman wheeling and dealing like we know he could. And the Eagles trade a player that was giving them problems in A.J. Brown. And now they to the Patriots draft assets. So there you go, moving forward. So anyway, nonetheless, man, that's what we got for y'all today on the broadcast. Listen, fam, y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on social media feed. Big Q representing the mighty Who Dat Nation in the football community. Listen, man, this is some interesting stuff that went on. Also, Odell Beckham, OBJ, re-signed with the Giants. That was interesting. Coach Harbaugh said, hey, man, we could use some help at the wide receiver position. OBJ signs back with the Giants, man. Can he help? Now, they do have Malik Neighbors. They have a very talented group of people up there, young guys. Can OBJ still give, does he have something left in that tank? That was big as well. So it's a couple of few things going on as well on that happened. And man, it's just interesting. We'll keep watching everything moving forward in terms of the Saints and period, man, and how it impacts us in the NFC South. With that being said, shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Please feel free to get your prop bets in at FanDuel. And also shout out to you guys for all that you do. Comment in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all think about these articles. I will comment back to you. Also, shout out to Sadat. I wanted to give Sadat a special shout out for becoming a member of the channel. He is, shout out to him for becoming a member of the channel, and much love to you. And appreciate all you guys, man, for being supporters of the platform as we continue to build this mountain of a platform into something special. With that being said, man, I'm getting on up out of here. I'm going to holler at y'all on the next report. Much love, peace, and who that take? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with thewhodatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit thewhodatdaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.